rise and shine. Coffee's brewing, feeling fine. News is out and on the air. Shizzy whiz nuts wild, but we don't care. Morning whiz and coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy whiz nuts, start the show. Let's go. Spinning in the breeze, stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java with a smile. Pants are off, but stay a while. Morning whiz and coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy whiz, let's start the show. Let's go. Headlines spinning in the breeze, stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java, wear a smile. Pants are off, but stay a while. Morning whiz and coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy whiz, let's start the show. Let's go. Serious is overrated. Every day we're caffeinated. Talk the town, but in a jest. Morning whiz is always best. Time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop.
Oh my god, Shizzy breaks Larry. Shizzy broke Larry.
Oh yeah.
No cream. Wake up slow, take a sip. Shizzy's got 'em losing their grip. News so dumb, what can you do? Laugh it off, let daddy guide you. You know Papa don't flinch, don't blink. Ooh baby, he's sharper than you think. Morning whiz, take it in. Shizzy's got the world on spin. Fools keep falling, truth's on fire. Papa Nut just raised the choir. Oh no, they tried to fight, now they're howling through the night. They poke, they scratch, they beg, they plead, but Shizzy's dancing while they bleed. Pour it black, keep it light. Shizzy's teasing you right. Morning whiz, taste the show. Sip it slow, let it glow. Trolls are crying, the game is set. Ooh, baby, they ain't seen nothing yet. Now that's a morning sugar. The coffee's hot, the takes are hotter. And Shizzy Daddy, oh, he's just getting started.
I'm glad you guys like it. Glad you guys like it. No, that is actually the trailer music that I've got. So if you log on, you click on the thing on the thumbnail, you get a trailer at the beginning. And I like having a little trailer there for you guys. I thought it would be pretty darn neat. And I guess you guys are liking it. Toe tap or finger snapping too. Yeah. Oh my. Well, this is no finger snapping here. This is a question that Stephen Cruiser puts out, and it says, just curious, how many Dems have their daughters competing against trans dudes in sports? That's an interesting question. It's a most valid question, one that we all know the answer to. I have been around politics so long that I remember when the Democrats fancied themselves as the primary champions of the working class. Of the working class and women, two groups that have completely abandoned. Now, it's not just that they are no longer at least paying lip service to fighting for either. It's that they have become downright hostile to both. It's a little odd. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I just got a message this morning. I sorry, got all distracted. Shame on me. Shame on me. Downright hostile. Both they look down their noses with extreme disdain at working middle class Americans in flyover country, and they have decided that their path back to the electoral viability hinges on erasing women from women's sports, as well as putting them in physical danger. Now, 7 years ago, these are the people who are running around squawking, "Believe all women." Now, the women they most believe are men who identify as women, which not only leads to inequity in women's sports, but opens the door to SA. Of all the insane things that the Democrats have thrown their support behind in the 21st century, this is the one that should get them all locked up in an asylum that favors hard labor as treatment, because executive orders are vulnerable to repeated legal assaults. Senate Republicans attempted to back up President Trump's, executive order. Good morning, Duke. How you doing? It's the Duke. To back up President Trump's executive order regarding biological males and women's sports with legislation, the Democrats circled the anti-female wagons to make it clear that they're all on board disenfranchising female athletes in America. And this comes from Matt. The Democrat Party has once again shown us exactly where their priorities lie, and it's not with protecting women and girls. On Monday, Senate Democrats banded together to block a common sense bill to keep biological males from invading women's sports. The Republican-led Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act fell short of the 60 votes needed to overcome the Democrats' filibuster. Every single Democrat who voted opposed the bill. Senators Alyssa Sclotton and Peter Welsh didn't even bother to show up. Apparently, protecting girls and women from having to compete against biological males with inherent physical advantages isn't important enough for Democrats to support, and this is just plain sick. Elisa Slotkin is new to the Senate, will be given the response to President Trump's joint address to Congress tonight. She's been very vocal about wanting Dems to be normal and get away from identity politics and their obsession with all things woke, which Rick wrote about in January. This is her moment to be the bold freshman senator who put her actions behind her words, but she opted for the coward's way out. The next time I'm in Michigan, I will be keeping an eye out for any public appearances of hers. I've got some questions I'd like to ask. Former NCAA swimmer Riley Gaines has become one of the most prominent fighters for female athletes' rights in recent years, and here was her response to the vote. Specifically, I want to highlight Georgia Democrat Senator Ossoff. You have a daughter. Have you no shame? Georgians are watching. It will make it my mission to do what I can to remove you from the Senate seat in 2026. John Ossoff's wife is an obstetrics and gynecology resident. I'd love to ask her how many men she has witnessed giving birth. In a recent VIP post, Matt asked if this was really the hill that Democrats want to die on. Apparently is, so let's make sure that happens. Maine ignores Trump's EO on trans athlete, allowing boys to continue beating up on girls. Crazy, huh? My, oh, my, oh, my. You must be in Texas, Rosalind Duke. Yes, she is. She is in Texas. one of the great states. One of the great states. Oh my gosh. And then of course I saw this one here. I wanted to show you guys. I thought it was pretty good. I think I covered this yesterday, but it's well worth to do again. It's official. USAID is all but dead. Whatever USAID was or wasn't meant to be, President John F. Kennedy's created the program by executive order in 1961. It effectively is no more. Wall Street Mob reported on Sunday that the White House intends to eliminate roughly $60 billion in foreign aid spending and terminate 92% of grants issued by the U.S. Agency for International Development. The figures were included in the State Department memo detailing the results of a 90-day review of U.S. foreign aid ordered by President Trump, which identified nearly 15,000 grants and targeted almost 10,000 for elimination, the majority of which were issued by USAID. Trump seriously wasn't wasting time, was he? That 90-day review he ordered had to have started nearly 2 months before he was sworn in, or just days after defeating Camel Toe on Election Day. Either that or his 90-day review was completed with Doge-like efficiency. My guess is the latter, because you can even imagine anyone on the still extant Biden administration going along with Trump order before he was sworn in. Well, his own administration barely cooperates with him now. They don't call it the deep state for nothing. Whatever the case, the White House isn't messing around with these cuts. Reuters, I think it's Reuters, but I can't ever remember, reported today that Nicholas Enric, USAID's acting assistant administrator for global health, released a 7-page letter complaining that political leadership, the Trump administration, had made it impossible to deliver life-saving humanitarian assistance around the world. And then 20 minutes later, Enric sent another email, which was also seen by Reuters, that he had just received notification that he had been placed on administrative leave, effective immediately. Oh, spare me the sob stories. Of the $4 billion earmarked for Haiti, almost half of it never went much further than the D.C. Beltway. More than half went to other. About 2% went to Haitian firms. 6 houses were built. There's a case to be made that the charitable people like us should help feed the hungry and provide disaster relief to those who can't afford it, but USAID isn't it. Now, how did we get here? Obstinately created as an international development agency, and it's right there in the name, USAID quickly morphed, some would say it was from the start, into an off-the-books intelligence operation, and from there into multi-billion-dollar slush fund for well-connected whose finances were already very highly developed. Call the relationship between USAID, i.e. your tax dollars, and the Democrat media complex incestuous would be an insult to people with only 2 grandparents. MSNBC host Jen Psaki's sister worked for nearly a decade at Population Council International, a recipient of hundreds of millions of dollars from USAID. The group even lists USAID as one of its official partners. Why does Jen never disclose this? Population Council is involved in sexual and reproductive health rights choices, adolescents and young people, gender equality and equity, climate and environmental changes. In other words, your basic to-do list of progressive causes, from abortion to climate-inspired socialism, paid for in part with 2,607,344 tax dollars. The group's website fails to list any of its principal officers, who I'm forced to assume are well paid. Let's dig in a little deeper to our next example. Back in 1988, George Soros, Open Society Foundations, or OSF, helped establish the East-West Management Institute, or EWMI. Exactly how isn't well understood, so I asked both Grok and ChatGPT to look into it for me. Neither LLM was able to come up with much, but they both described a relationship as opaque. Fine, whatever. Soros can do what he wants with his money, except that over the last decade or two, EWMI received an estimated $270 million in tax money, largely through USAID, with another $90 million on tap. What does EWMI do with your money? Well, that's none of your business. Your tax dollars go, or rather went, to a Soros organization that does what Soros wants. You just get to pay. Giving money to billionaires to thwart the popular will in this country hardly sounds like the international development to me, unless that is you're talking about the postmodern version of the international communism, and those days are over. And just remember, you can get a VIP membership. You can get that by joining, using the 60% off and the fight promotion. And trust me, it's well worth it if you want to get something that the news doesn't like to tell you, doesn't like to show you. Things like this. Oh, this made me so happy when I saw this. It just put a little smile on my chin here.
I've been telling myself I'm not going to cry today because I don't want to give them that satisfaction. I think a lot of hurt and disrespect. The way that this was done was very dehumanizing. You can disagree with what we may have been doing on a political standpoint, but we're people and we're humans. And the confusion with the emails, the tone of the emails we were receiving didn't seem to take that into account. And so it's just, you have people who dedicated their entire lives to this, and now you've got 15 minutes to clear out your office. And the amount of security, DHS officers that are in there, the measures of security we had to go through to a building we used to work in is incredibly disrespectful. And I think
disrespectful.
Again, people seem to forget that we're not.
And you can tell which way you lean. There's something about that asking the question at the end of a statement that is annoying as hell. I never understood that why question.
Just faithless bureaucrats are actually people who have family, who have.
And to me, it sounds like they're unsure of their statement. Whenever I hear someone do that question at the end of it, like, what is this? It drives me up the wall. Getting storms later tonight, you've been bandling the dog early. Ooh, that's no fun. No one cared when they fired the pipeline workers. Oh, no. That means that they could hire more people to work at USAID. It's not an airport. You don't have to announce your departure. That's true.
Plans, you had aspirations, and now I just watched my career plan kind of go up in flames.
USAID staff were asked to go into the building for 15 minutes to collect their belongings. Yep. They haven't been allowed in the building in a couple of weeks. Many of them had left shoes and pens and knickknacks from all of their travels, and I'm out here to support their work.
I don't think we're lazy, government employees. I think we actually do a huge amount of work on behalf of the taxpayer. And I personally always thought about the.
Well, if you do a huge amount of work on the taxpayer's dime, whenever they asked you show your work, do you think that they were joking? See, that's the problem. They thought that, oh, we can just carry on, like, show your work, show exactly what it was that you were doing. They didn't care when the nurses lost their job and then refused to get the jib jab. Exactly. And this is exactly what happens when you get fired. Yeah, she must have been one of those chicks that's part of the campaign to not reproduce. Well, and I feel for them that, it sucks that you no longer have a job, but you have to remember, was your job providing anything? You were asked about this back when Trump came in. He said, I'm going to get rid of government waste. Did you think that you were not a waste? Did you not think that? And it's amazing to me that they get all upset about it, yet at the same time they have no problem with, men competing in women's sports, or the money being sent overseas for transgender studies, or, trying to see if they can keep the frogs gay, or whatever it is that they're doing. Yes, you're human beings, but you've been using other human beings, and eliminating this really makes a big difference to the rest of the world. Just think, all the money that we're saving on one of these people, on this person's salary. Think about the money that we're saving on this person's salary that could easily be pulling in well over $100,000 a year, plus all kinds of expenses. She can go go make computer chips. Or what did they say to some of these workers back whenever they were laying them off? They were telling them, well, it's a new upcoming world. They should learn how to write computer code. Remember this? Oh, I guess that was that we tend to forget about these kinds of things. So guess what? You got to go learn some new skills. I'm suggesting if these folks want to learn some skills, there's a great need for electricians, body repair, a lot of personal trainers, because we do have a lot of people that need they need to get out and work out. And I know the pay isn't as good, but I guarantee you, you could probably get a job working at Tesla, maybe producing something, or you could maybe go get a job at Ford or GM. Or I hear that now that we're launching the Mexicans back into their home country, that you can go work landscaping jobs now. So you sort of solved your own problem. We got rid of waste, and then we launched some Mexicans back over into Mexico and Venezuela and further south. But now we need people to work the fields and pick crops and stuff like that. Guess what? You can learn how to do those physical skills. It's a beautiful thing. And guess what? They'll probably hook you up with some nice housing and all kinds of stuff. Oh, or was that supposed to be beneath you because you spent 4-year degree on getting gender studies? They had to create a job for you. Could be they're going to build 5 computer chip factories in Arizona. Oh yeah. Wait until you get the next story coming up.
The fact that we were using taxpayer resources, like everything that I did. I just never would have expected, again, when we last left this building, that we would be walking back in under these circumstances.
See, it's amazing that they're out here defacing a government sign and nobody's stopping them. It's weird, isn't it? How they get so butthurt. Oh my gosh, they've taken away everything. It's hard to believe that whenever we left this building, 8 months ago or 2 years ago, that we would this is how we would be leaving once again. Yeah, what was it 2.5, 3 years ago that everybody was locked down and had to work from home? And all of a sudden now you have to come back to this building that you probably haven't set foot in probably over 6 months, 8 months, 2 years. All of a sudden they're telling you to get your crap and go. Amazing how that works, isn't it?
I think also a decent bit of shock of this is happening, this is real. I'm going to leave this building and never walk in again.
Yes.
It's really sinking in.
Yeah. It's very final.
It really sunk in. Wow. Welcome to losing your job. Welcome to losing your job, because this has happened to us before also. I've lost jobs. I've lost jobs before. Is that anything? Tesla needs crash test dummies? Well, I hope not. I hope they don't need any crash test dummies. But that does bring up our next story, which was I saw this morning, and this might take a little bit of time, so bear with me if I get a little bit sidetracked here. Talk on it. Stop that. And here we go. This is a pretty interesting one. Now it's not very long, but it is a little long-winded. And the world needs ditch diggers too. Exactly. And just think, you can get a workout at the same time. You get to get off the couch and stop sobbing into your ice cream or whatever it is that you were doing, and you could become a YouTuber. I doubt it. Dude, trust me, it does not pay. YouTube does not pay jack squat. Yeah. A lot of people get this misconception. Ooh, you guys must make a lot of money. No. Oh, here we go.
Welcoming from TSMC, which is the biggest there is, at a level that you can't even calculate, frankly. CC Way to the White House for a very historic announcement. This is a tremendous thing for our country and hopefully for his company. We're also pleased to be joined by Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and White House AI and SIP, the crypto czar David Sachs, another two very highly respected people. It's great to have you guys involved. And David, thank you very much for coming on. David is sort of the king of intellect in that world. We have some good people. Today, Taiwan Semiconductor is announcing that they will be investing at least $100 billion in new capital in the United States over the next short period of time to build state-of-the-art semiconductor manufacturing facilities. I think mostly it's going to be in Arizona, which is what I understand, and which is a great state. I like it because I won it, but I won most of them, actually. So, but I did. We won it, and we won it big. The most powerful AI chips in the world will be made right here in America, and it'll be a big percentage of the chips made by his company. But as you know, they're based mostly in Taiwan, and they're far and away the biggest. There's nobody even close. This $100 billion in new investment will go into building 5 cutting-edge fabrication facilities in the great state that we just discussed, Arizona, and will create thousands of jobs, many thousands of jobs, and they're high-paying jobs. In total, today's announcement brings Taiwan Semiconductor investments to about $165 billion they've started already. Among the largest new foreign direct investments in the United States, Apple, as you know, made a big announcement last week of $500 billion, and we have some others that have announced. We have many that want to announce. But I don't have time to do all of these announcements, I tell you. But for you, I'm doing the announcement. Thank you. This will create hundreds of billions of dollars in economic activity and boost America's dominance in artificial intelligence and beyond. Semiconductors are the backbone of the 21st century economy, and really, without the semiconductors, there is no economy. Powering everything from AI to automobiles to advanced manufacturing, and we must be able to build the chips and semiconductors that we need right here in American factories with American skill and American labor. That's exactly what we're doing. As you know, Taiwan pretty much has a monopoly on that market. And I think pretty much is not a term that's even appropriate. They do have a monopoly. And this is a tremendous move by the most powerful company in the world. It's a matter of economic security. It's also a matter of national security for us. And at the same time,
NVIDIA.
Mr. Wei will be able to diversify and have his a tremendous presence in another place and a safe.
And Mary, this is exactly it right there. We got hit by 2 hurricanes on our beach. A lot of people lost their homes and jobs. We've got a follower that's down in Florida that's been well over, what is it, 100, going on almost 200 days without power. Lost power during the first hurricane and has not received any power since then. They've been without power since. And it's not because the United States can't help them. It's their own politics involved in that particular town is so shot that they're having a hard time getting any sort of permitting to do the work to actually get power restored. South Carolina's on fire. I wish I could help, but barely have 2 nickels to rub together. Exactly. Yeah, it's pretty bad everywhere. There's only so much that people can do. Losing everything is a very lost feeling. That's absolutely right. And I mean, there's been. I will tell you that back in 1990, I just fresh out of military and was getting ready to go on tour with a band. And I basically walked out the door with just the clothes on my back. And that's it. that's how it goes sometimes. And you have to be able to, try and work hard and get back to where, have some sort of skill or something. There wasn't any handouts. It was just pure, put my head down and go to work. You got to do it.
A very safe place. And I want to thank Taiwan Semiconductor for doing
Dan
the
Davis.
announcement. And I'd like to ask Mr. Wade to say a few words, if you might. And I'd also like to ask Howard and David, you can say a couple of words, but maybe
Morning,
you should
Jenny.
go first.
Good to
'Cause
see you.
right now, he's the most important man in the room. I'm sorry, fellas. Please. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great
Mr.
honor.
President.
Thank you.
I'm a little bit nervous, so I have to pull out my piece of paper. Mr. President, Secretary Ragni, and David, I didn't know that your title, but okay. First, I want to say thank you to Mr. President.
I thought he said he was going to sing. I was like, oh, please don't sing. That would be scary. He had his sister lose it all through a storm. Yeah, it does happen. It does happen. And luckily, there's aid out there for people that lose everything. But aid doesn't help if your city is doing nothing to help and rebuild. That becomes really the worst part about it. I had to start over more than once. Oh yeah, I kept losing jobs, so I went into business for myself. Worked with a husband so we could save money, not having to hire someone. That does happen. What the fuck are all these natural disasters all over the U.S.? Here's the thing: natural disasters are occurring all the time. That's why they call them natural, and there's nothing you can do about it. Mother Nature is very nasty. They've been happening all over the United States for a long time. It's just nobody really talked about it and to those extents. And a lot of this is state planning. California, they've always had wildfires. Colorado, states constantly will have wildfires. A lot of this has to do with how much you're trimming up the underbrush, clearing those things out. It doesn't take much to get a fire started whenever you have dried underbrush that's just sitting there rotting and in the dry heat. Those things happen all the time. Where do you think Smokey the Bear came from? Do you think it was because someone flipped a cigarette out or something like that? No, it was a natural occurrence. Now, some of the fires in California, they can't verify this, but they believe that some of those were made by humans. Doesn't matter whether they were or not; those things could have been avoided. They keep tearing down trees. It's because they keep tearing down trees. Well, you do have to clear out trees. Well, you're sitting here waiting for a major storm to hit. I may flood. My insurance is FEMA. Yeah, Florida's getting screwed. You have to remember that in Florida, most insurance companies have pulled out of Florida because it's become uninsurable. Certain places have. There's proven correlation now between tornadoes and concrete. They seek heat. Oh my gosh. You also have to remember that if you look at the grand scale of the planet, you take that 10-mile view of the planet, you realize how small and insignificant we are. And I think people tend to forget that. I think it was the George Carlin that talked about everyone being so worried about natural disasters and earthquakes and floods and all these things that everyone's so worried about. And climate change, how we're affecting the climate. If you take that 10,000 mile view, you start to see that how small and insignificant we are in the universe. We're not a plague on the planet. There's plenty of space in the world. There's plenty. It's just people live in cities and small cloisters, and it tends to affect people in small areas, small cloisters. You live near the ocean, you can expect that you're going to get hit by a wave. You live in the woods, you can expect that you're going to get hit by a tree. Just you're there. This is the kind of things that happen naturally. Floods on riverbanks. rain comes across the United States and you live in low-lying areas, well, floods are going to happen. Yes, folks around here wonder how a burning pile of brush got away and burns acres. I'm sure some idiot will try it. Those high winds coming in for the next few days. Exactly. In Louisiana, the only flood insurance I can get is through FEMA. That's correct. It's all a cycle, by the way. Exactly. Tried within 6 months. I was done with all the rules and regulations, legal mumbo jumbo they make you read and go through. Yeah, that is a bit crazy. That is always a bit crazy. But whenever I saw that particular one where Trump was investing into these chip companies moving into Arizona, and not just Arizona but other places, then I saw this thing come popping up, which says Google backtracks on major AI pledge. Aside from making a name for itself, rigging elections, censoring dissident media, Google has become notorious over the years for quietly walking back its publicly stated, apparently deep-held belief regarding its moral obligations to deploy technology responsible in our brave new world. Sometime in the spring of 2018, Google silently nixed its long-standing motto, "Don't be evil," from its code of conduct. The precise date of the shift in policy is unknown because the company scrubbed it in the middle of the night like Animal Farm pigs did with the commandments. Some animals are more equal than others. Google's unofficial motto has long been the simple phrase, "Don't be evil," but that's over. According to the code of conduct that Google distributes to its employees, the phrase was removed sometime in late April or early May. Archives hosted by the Wayback Machine show. "Don't be evil" has been part of the company's corporate code of conduct since 2000, when Google was reorganized under a new parent company, Alphabet. In 2015, Alphabet assumed a slightly adjusted version of the motto, "Do the right thing." However, Google retained its original "Don't be evil" language until the past several weeks. The phrase has been deeply incorporated into Google's company culture, so much so that a version of the phrase has served as the Wi-Fi password on the shuttles that Google uses to ferry its employees to the Mountain View headquarters, sources told Gizmodo. Despite the significant change, Google's code of conduct says it has not been updated since April 5th of 2018. Why would Google go out of its way to purge a seemingly laudable motto such as "Don't be evil" from its corporate literature? We can only speculate, since the company didn't accompany the policy shift with any public announcement of the rationale. Similarly, the mega corporations recently memory hold a pledge on its AI principles page that would not develop AI for weapons or surveillance applications, and well, Google removed a pledge not to build AI weapons for surveillance from its website this week. The change was spotted by Bloomberg. The company appears to have updated its public AI principles pages, erasing a section titled "Applications We Will Not Pursue," which was still included as recently as last week. Asked for comment, the company pointed TechCrunch to a big new blog post on responsible AI. It notes, in part, "We believe that companies, governments, organizations sharing these values should work together to create AI that protects people, promotes global growth, and supports national security." Of course, the idea that Google would not use AI for weapons or surveillance was so farcical on a surveillance score. Tracking its users and selling their data to the private sector, as well as sharing it with law enforcement, has been central to its business for years. On the weapons score, we're living in the age of information warfare, so just because Google is currently churning out munitions in some factory doesn't mean it's not engaging in warfare. The weaponization of AI indeed appears inevitable. The dilemma from the national security perspective is akin to the nuclear arms race of the 20th century. Or I would liken AI more to Betamax and VHS. Everybody wants to be on top. And it doesn't mean that the better of the two is going to be the one that gets on top. It's going to be the one that everyone uses the most. See, you have to put this into perspective. Those of us that have been around for a few years do remember VHS. We remember the Betamax wars. At some point, you could really dig into that for all you youngins out there. Youngins that don't even understand what a VHS is. Now, VHS didn't have a higher quality feature. The pictures were substandard. And they were very, the tapes would break, all kinds of crap would happen with them. But the Betamax was by far superior. It's just VHS had a better promotion. And they got enough of those out into people's homes that all of a sudden it became the top dog for something that was a lesser quality. Crazy, isn't it? A lot of people don't remember it, though. You just, like I said, go dig into the VHS Betamax wars. You'd be surprised to learn those. Notice how you say something, I need a wash machine. You see the ads, that's Google on your phone spying on you. YouTube has a video to show how to turn it off. Well, isn't it amazing that the company that has it tells you how to turn it off? How about that escaped cow that tied up a freeway project in Las Vegas? My first reaction was, don't have a cow, man. I even have a small VHS player just in case I want to watch one that I still have. Everything on streaming now. Exactly. Which means if it's on streaming, they can make it disappear anytime they want to. And speaking of, I don't know if I'm going to be able to talk about this, but we're going to try. We're going to try. And just so you know, let me put a banner up here. This has got to be done right here. Just because what I want to talk about next, it is just opinion. It is not giving any sort of information to anybody. I am not a doctor, a lawyer, a scientist, or anything of that such. So there's my disclaimer. I'm an idiot with a microphone and a safety gear, and I wear Velcro shoes. So Pfizer CEO flops attempting to defend Vax liability shield. It's the very simple and unexpected coming from CNBC, which usually runs cover for pharmaceutical corporations as a matter of course. Question posed to Alberta Boria. Vaccine makers like yourself are largely shielded from liability if the products are safe and effective. What is the need to continue to shield, to have these liability shields, and what happens if those shields are changed or go away completely? Well, the very simple answer is assuming that the vaccines are actually safe and effective would be nothing happens if we lose our liability shield. We don't need it because our product is safe and effective. We're willing to prove that in court if need be. Well, but that's not what Boria said. Instead, he offered a word salad about how trustworthy FDA would never approve dangerous, ineffective vaccines. Therefore, by virtue of the fact that the FDA allowed COVID shots into the market, they are by definition safe and effective. He also adds American juries are too stupid to decide whether an injury was caused by a vaccine or a car accident. Oh, yeah. That's
Come see us on tour. We're going to be in Baltimore.
Oh, that's Jimmy Dore. I'm not playing that. For many reasons, Boria's defense in the indefensible falls upon the mildest scrutiny. The company was recently kind enough to demonstrate one of them, the so-called revolving door between regulators and the agencies tasked with vetting pharma's products and pharma itself, when it snagged a former top FDA drug regulator and installed him as its chief medical officer. It's only February, but my pick for the worst biopharma CEO of 2025 has already been decided. Albert Bourla of Pfizer. Pfizer's decision to hire Pantrala Vazanzi, a former top drug regulator at the FDA, as its new chief medical officer is one of the dumbest, most damaging corporate screw-ups since the rollout of New Coke. That was horrible, too. For months to Make America Healthy Again movement, and its titular leader, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who also happens now run the Department of Health and Human Services, have castigated the pharma sector for its all too cozy relationship with the FDA. On top of the conflict of interest among regulators, FDA frequently acknowledges it has no idea how the products it approves works. This is especially true for the COOF shots, which were never approved through a standard process, but instead granted emergency use authorization with much lower threshold of safety demonstration. And like I said, nothing you see here is true or correct. Never, ever is it. I guess everyone watched the Grammys or the Emmys or the Oscars or one of those things where you have the Hollywood elite giving out awards to themselves and get to dress up and wear some really nice clothes. It's amazing how that works. What you don't need is Megan's chat exit button. No, but what I do need is some more coffee. That's what I'm getting ready to get. Just a little bit more coffee. I'm going to give you a nice little dance right before I go to go get some more coffee. I'll be right back in a short bit. Enjoy. Get a little bit of shake it out just a little bit, if you know what I mean.
Step aside, y'all, it's my time to shine. I'm feeling the groove with these hips of mine. Hands in the air like spaghetti gone rogue. My knees are jelly and my hips just broke. Shaking it, breaking it, what a blast. Wobble it, wiggle it, shake that ass. Do a jig or a jog, wiggle it to the side. Or break that hip bone by moving your ass. Step up or stand aside. My shoulders pop like a rusty hinge. My fingers point like they're on a binge. Twirl like a tornado, then drop real low. It's not planned, it's a shit sideshow. I've got the rhythm of a clock that's broke. My dance floor moves are a big effing joke. Shaking it, breaking it, what a blast. Wobble it, wiggle it, shake that ass. Do a jig or a jog, wiggle it to the side. Or break that hip bone by moving your ass. Step up or stand aside. Rig like lava lamp, mesmerizing glow. You can't help but watch me steal the show. I summon the shake, the shimmy, the twist, a mix of genius and a big old fist. You're drawn in close, your feet start to twitch, feeling the groove like a broke-ass bitch. Yeah! Shaking it, breaking it, what a blast. Wobble it, wiggle it, shake that ass. Do a jig or a jog, wiggle it to the side. Or break that hip bone by moving your ass. Step up or stand aside. Now we're all in the shake, no need to be shy. Move like spaghetti and reach for the sky. We'll dance like we're cursed, laugh to a sore. Shizzy whiz nut reigns forevermore. So join the dance, let your weirdness unfurl. We're shaking ass, not a care in the world.
NC has become the newest member. There we go. A beautiful star for you, NC, and welcome to the Nut House, where it probably is going to get more insane as the years go on, but I don't know how much, but welcome. Thank you very much for becoming newest member. I swear when I hear this at work, I wish I could dance to it. My third shift coworkers would bust a gut if I mimic that video. I love it. I love it. 59, if that's you at 59, you are a lovely lady, Ree. That is not even. Would not buy that for a second. Oh my gosh. And the award for best campaign goes to Donald J. Trump. The Oscars were awarded this past week, and the actors could not resist making political statements to grab some headlines from obliging left-wing press instead of celebration of just great acting and gripping movies. Yet again, we were subjected to lopsided, tiresome political jokes and speeches instead of using the Oscars platform to criticize President Trump. Hollywood's out-of-touch mega millionaires should have given him an award for promising to fix our broken economy and secure the border. The president deserves some type of award. He has deployed the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, to cut out waste, fraud, and abuse. And the Trump administration has promised to not spend more money on overseas wars, as eliminated the U.S. Agency for International Development to stop outsourcing U.S. taxpayer dollars. President Trump is also pressuring Congress to extend its tax cuts to keep personal income taxes low for American citizens. The one reservation I have is with Trump's tariff policy going forward, which is being pushed by a cadre of Trump staff who don't care about economic growth and merely want to start a new trade war. The president issued an executive order on Monday, further raising his prior tariffs on China. The White House Rapid Response 47 team announced President Trump has raised the tariff on People's Republic of China to 20% over their failure to address the fentanyl pouring into our country. Trump added 10% to his existing 10% tariffs to increase the pressure on China to resolve the issue of drug smuggling. The hope is that this increased pressure is a temporary measure. Oh, thank you so much, Star Z. You need a gold star this morning. Well, guess what? I do have a gold star for you this morning. Let's pull this bad boy out. Now, it may not look gold in the light, but trust me, it is gold. It shows up a different color under the light. Get a gold star for you. I'll put it right there on the edge of the helmet. So right there. See, gold star. Gold star. Right there. Gold star for you this morning. Welcome, Stars. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Disabled Dahlia. Good morning, Debbie Webb. Now, it is, let's see, what is it here? Oh, tariffs are a great tool when they are temporary and they're used as leverage for better trade deals. National security concessions or something else. Tariffs are destructive if imposed on a permanent basis because they result in higher costs to American consumers and manufacturers who use imported products to manufacture domestically. Furthermore, they spur trade partners to target American farmers and manufacturers for retaliatory tariffs. Now, the president was smart to push temporary tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China last month. They result in a movement on border security and fentanyl imports. Sorry about that. Had a little bit of a cough. Where was I? I lost my place. They result in movement on border security, fentanyl, routers, whatever. Reported that Trump is in negotiations on a new round of tariffs and has vowed to impose 25% tariffs on all imports from Canada and Mexico, with 10% for Canadian energy. CEO and economists say the action, covering more than $900 billion worth of annual U.S. imports from southern and northern neighbors, would deal a serious setback to the highly integrated North American economy. If these tariffs are merely a threat or temporary, they will have a good result for the economy. The past examples of impact tariffs have on economy are clear. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce studied tariffs imposed in 2018 and 2019, citing The Economist that the average applied U.S. tariff rose from under 3% to nearly 14% in that period. They also cited the Tax Foundation, concluding that those tariffs were the equivalent to one of the largest tax increases in decades. Congressional Budget Office, CBO, estimated that these tariffs impacted American households with $1,200 in increased costs. The Chamber of Commerce argued that instead of increasing tariffs, the president should consider the case for tariff relief to help counter soaring inflation or shore up the competitiveness of U.S. manufacturers and remedy the unfairness of the tariff system that hits the poor the hardest. The president should stick to his guns, using the threat of tariffs and imposition of temporary ones as ammunition to leverage better trade deals and to lower foreign tariffs on American exports, while also pressuring foreign leaders on border security. But see, here's where Jared Whitley, I think, is missing out, and I'm sure that he's a bright person. But if you have tariffs, but you start eliminating the tax system, those taxes start lowering, you're not going to feel as great of an impact. So it's the same way as if you start lowering the prices of those products, then you're not hit with just as much, right? you have to hit this on more than just one thing. Focusing on one particular area, yes, it can, but then you have to look at what else is going on with if we get tax cuts. Exactly. If we get tax cuts because there's tariffing coming, we would be better off. Exactly. And I mean, the problem is people will get focused on one particular thing and not focus on the big picture of these things. Vietnam was the top receiver of USAID funds for a long time. Iraq passed them, and Afghanistan. Then Afghanistan. Now Israel has more than 2 times what Afghanistan has received. Yep. Had a beautiful satsuma tree, but the snow killed it. Heartbroken. Oh, sorry to hear that. Yeah, the cold does some pretty nasty stuff. Now, the president should stick to his guns using the threat of tariffs, the imposition of temporary ones as ammunition to leverage better trade deals and lower foreign tariffs on American exports, while also pressuring foreign leaders on border security and threat of these nations allowing dangerous drugs into the U.S. President Trump deserves an award for his amazing campaign. He should get a Lifetime Achievement Award if he can push economic policies that reverse the stagnation we experienced under Joe Biden. When deployed appropriately, tariffs could help achieve that. If overused, they might not get us the relief we need. Yeah, so there you have it. One person's opinion, not much greater than the other. But we know that this Starcy, you are a gold star. Oh, it is a special Debbie Webb. I love it. Had a beautiful. Okay. The Dems rise from the grave. There are 3 paths for regaining power. I don't know about that. I mean, here's one way of regaining power. I think this would be it right here.
¿Qué pues, pinche gringo mamón? Si tengo mi green card.
Thanks for your collaboration. And remember, don't come back again.
Y el gringo nos quiere cobrar el muro. Dile que no, pinche gringo racista. Pues no te pagaremos nada.
Wait a minute, please.
I'm going to have to mute the music. All right, here we go. Oh, my. Oh, boy. So old, you're first grade in Vietnam. Just getting the United States in school. Wow. I couldn't help but do that one. Yes. So, you're so old. You were in the first grade when Vietnam came to the United States in school. Oh, well, I was very young. I don't think I was 1. But yeah, I mean, I remember. I worked with a guy that was originally from Vietnam, and one of my wife's friends was one of the last children that was flown out during Operation Baby Lift. Imagine that, having to leave your whole family behind as a baby. Came to the United States, was adopted to a lovely couple, and now she's a pretty well respected attorney. She was airlifted out during the. Yes, a pecan. Yeah, she was part of Operation Baby Lift. One of my wife's friends, and managed to get the hell out. Yeah, Baby Lift was so bad. Yeah, so sad. But yeah, that was not uncommon. I mean, I worked with a guy that was, he remembers as a kid, as a young child, living in Vietnam, that there was a soldier would come up and give him he'd never had chewing gum before. Now he chews gum all the time because it just brings back this memory of a young GI soldier giving him a stick of gum, and all the kids in the neighborhood tearing off a small piece so they could chew on that gum. They'd never experienced anything like that before. And he tells that story with very fond memories. It's crazy, isn't it? That the things that you could garner from folks like this. And let me see, where is it? What was I talking about? Let's pull that one. We'll drop that one. Drop that one. See, I have all these tabs opened up, and I have to clear them off as I go, or else I tend to forget. Here we go. We have the Dems rise from the grave. Their three paths for regaining power. 100 years ago, President Calvin Coolidge gave a speech to the American Society of Newspaper Editors. It included the line, "After all, the chief business of the American people is business. They are profoundly concerned with producing, buying, selling, investing, and prospering in the world." I'm going to say that wrong. We've abbreviated Cal's quote to "The business of America is business," shorter, pithier, and more efficient. Doge version of the quote. Same is true of politics. It's a business too. So if you want to know what's going to happen next, you got to follow the money. For all the griping about the military-industrial complex, it pales in comparison to the political-industrial complex, the corporations, industries, professions, and professionals who've monetized the political status quo. And as we pointed out, D.C. is ground zero for America's political-industrial complex. It's a multi-trillion-dollar racket. Not only does it include politicians, lobbyists, staff employees, media, and everything else in D.C.'s financial wake, but its tentacles extend so deep beneath the surface, it also controls the real estate market surrounding Washington. There's a reason why so many of America's wealthiest communities are centered around D.C. Follow the money. 3 stories broke over the last 48 hours detailing the wheeling and dealing in the smoke-filled rooms of the Democrat Party bosses. They're desperate to regain power, but struggling to choose a path, and it's becoming increasingly clear that the liberal consensus won't be reached anytime soon. They're too damn disorganized to coalesce, which is a decision in and of itself. Never forget the lessons of Rush, the band, not Limbaugh. If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. This means there won't be a singular cohesive liberal strategy. Instead, there will be different activists trying different tactics, hoping that something will stick. Obviously, their hatred of Trump and their loathing for all things MAGA will bind them together. But politics is a story of tactics, it's less about how you feel and much more about what the hell you're going to do about it. When we follow the money, the first path leads us to Senator Chris Murphy, Democrat of Connecticut. A career politician, Murphy was first elected to office at the age of 25. At about 15 years later, he was the youngest senator on Capitol Hill. He's now 51 and making a move to be the Democrats' next flag bearer. NBC just gave him one hell of a puff piece, which is always something we should keep our eyes on. Democrats telegraph their moves by coordinating them with the mainstream media. It amplifies their messaging, but the drawback is you can reverse engineer their strategy by following their PR tactics. From this article, Senator Chris Murphy has made a name for himself as someone willing to chase bipartisan deals on some of Washington's thorniest issues. But weeks into President Donald Trump's second administration, Murphy, Democrat, Connecticut, has taken steps to put himself at the center of aggressive resistance to Trump and let his party's rank and file know it. Murphy is spending heavily to advertise on social media platforms and is flooding the zone on television and podcasts, positioning himself as the tip of the spear of the Democrat Party efforts to oppose Trump in Washington. Murphy has taken his new message to a variety of platforms like the liberal Pod Save America, as well as hosts such as Brian Tyler Cohen and Medea Hansen, comedy hosts like Hassan Minaj. I'm not going to say any of those names right. Legacy media outlets such as NBC and the New York Times and conservative Hugh Hewitt Show. He has spent more than $1 million on ads on Meta platforms in February alone, delivering his message directly to individuals. It's more than he has spent on the likes of Facebook and Instagram in the last 5 years combined. A period that includes his 2024 re-election campaign. According to analysis by NBC News and the University of Pennsylvania program, on opinion research and election studies. Murphy's aides said he has doubled his Instagram following during the last 2 months and seen a significant increase in engagement across platforms. Follow the money. It's probably not the right He's probably not the right messenger, but Senator Murphy is onto something. The easiest way to rebrand the Democrat Party is replace its flag bearer. Senator Murphy advocates fighting Trump everywhere. There's definitely a debate happening inside the Democrat Party. Should you reserve power, sort of hold and wait and jump out of the bushes when the moment is right, or should you flood the zone just like Donald Trump floods the zone? Should you be fighting every single day? I'm of the school that you have to fight every day, and that if you don't, people aren't going to think that it's a red alert moment. Embracing the opposition mantle is exactly what liberal activists want to hear. And for their own purposes, Senator Murphy needs to capture the AOC wing of the party as soon as possible, or he'll burn through his limited checkbook. But smarter, cagier Democrat tacticians know better than swinging at every pitch, including James Carville. Carville's essay for the Democrat Party is to make strategic political retreat, advising members of his party to roll over and play dead while public support for the Trump administration dwindles before then stepping back into the fray. Allow the Republicans to crumble beneath their own weight and make the American people miss us, Carville wrote. Only until the Trump administration has spiraled into the low 40s or high 30s in public approval polling percentages should we make like a pack of hyenas and go for the jugular. I'm all for Dodge reducing wasted spending, riddling of corruption, but we need to remember not to be stereotyped. There are some essential government workers who can prove working remotely more productive. Continued, absolutely true. And continued, not all who work remotely are taking advantage of their position, just as not all who receive assistance take advantage of the system. Absolutely correct. Very well put, Heidi. I worked grocery when everyone wanted a higher minimum wage. We all knew prices would go up. Following the money also encouraged the bird flu, storms, flooding, everything else that touches our food chain. Well, and on top of that, whenever you've got gas prices that are soaring because we stopped drilling for oil in our own country and we're having to import it from people that we really don't want to be doing business with, then what happens is the cost of what it takes to get product, even off of a farm, to the people that need it, starts costing a lot more. That raises up the prices. Cost of living goes up. It goes down to that simple thing of fuel. It is, let's put it this way. If you wake up in the morning and you don't have breakfast, and you continue on through your day and don't have lunch, by the time that you're hitting dinner, you're sort of run out of steam, because you're at that point you're burning yourself out. And if you continue on that kind of path where you don't have fuel to do your job, it doesn't matter what else you do. At that point, you're not going to make wise decisions. You're not going to make informed decisions. You're just going to go along with whatever. You're going to run to the nearest burger joint and grab something very unhealthy for you that isn't really going to fuel you up. And next thing you know, you're just on a slow burnout. Fuel powers everything, and you still have to have other things there, but that's going to be your source core. Yeah, give a thumbs up. Love it. Actually, one day at a time. Some days are one step at a time. That's correct. Now, Senator Bernie Sanders vehemently disagrees. Democrats have been playing dead for too many years. Carville's strategy is smarter if the goal is to win elections. The Sanders and our Murphy path is smarter if you need to hit fundraising quotas this month, next month, and the month after that, which isn't a trivial concern. Follow the money. The final story is about a D.C.-era gala and with a few dozen left-wing political operatives and Democrat politicians. The wounded donkeys were licking their wounds and searching the pathway out of the wilderness. Politico obtained their PowerPoint presentation. Trust me, it's worth your time. The article was called Centrist Dem Group Rails Against Leftist Identity Politics and Purity Tests from the piece. and I've said this multiple times, that Republican, as well as Democrats, should get rid of these purity tests. Oh, you're not Democrat enough. Oh, you're not Republican enough. Oh, you don't believe in my core values, and so you start excluding people because of that. And although we are individuals, we should also keep in mind that you should eliminate a lot of these purity tests. But that's just me. Among their takeaways, the party should embrace patriotism, community, and traditional American imagery. Yeah, you think? Duh. Candidates should get out of elite circles and into real communities. Example, tailgates, gun shows, local restaurants, churches. Are you an idiot? It's like the kid that comes goes to a gun show or goes to a shooting range. Let's put it this way: goes to a shooting range and ends up like hurting himself because he's an idiot, or shows up at the tailgate and then roots for the opposite team that all their friends are. I mean, it's idiots. Sorry, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to socialize except in their own elite little circles. I see the same thing with my wife. She can have difficulty with groups of people that don't have the same political alliance as she does, because she has that purity test that she likes to put everyone through. The party needs to own the failures of the Democrat governance in large cities and commit to improving local government. Or maybe get your head out of the sand, one of the two. The party, many of those gathered also argue, needs to develop a stronger, more relatable Democrat media presence. More relatable? That becomes the problem, because it's not relatable to people whenever you talk about putting men in women's sports. That's just a non sequitur going to turn into an argument, and you just walk away at that point. That's what I do with my wife whenever she starts talking about what did she say one day, that I was homophobic or something like that. I just laughed at her. I was like, sweetheart, no, sorry, we'll have to disagree there, and we'll just leave it at that. Derek say, I wanted to give up 9 years ago. My heart stopped 4 times, and the time I'm sorry to hear that. Unfortunately for the Democrats, the aforementioned strategies are all contradictory. You can't aggressively attack everything and then roll over and play dead. You can't embrace traditional American imagery, gun shows, and patriotism when you're wooing the Hamas-loving, flag-burning AOC wing of your party, which means we're going to see a lot of liberal shit thrown at the wall over the next 12 months. The mainstream media will likely churn through quite a few potential flag bearers, hoping one of them will stick. And it ain't going to be Senator Murphy. The liberal donors will hear conflicting messages over the strategies and goals, which will make them less likely to open their checkbooks, and the Democrat Party will continue to be politically paralyzed into something or someone goes viral. And eventually it will. It always does. But then, until then, the Trump administration has a historic opportunity to make America great again. If successful, it won't really matter what the Democrats do, because business of MAGA is saving our country. Your stepdad taught my brother and I to cheer for the other team on the field just for the sake of being able to have the tension of teams facing off in competition. There you go. There you go. But this could be interesting. A very interesting one indeed, because we have a new truckload of Epstein documents delivered to the Department of Justice. A massive new batch of documents related to Jeff Epstein has been uncovered, raising serious questions about why they were withheld for so long, according to Attorney General Pam Bondi. Thousands of pages of evidence previously unaccounted for were located in the Southern District of New York and have now been turned over to the FBI. The FBI handed over a couple hundred pages of documents. Bondi, who appeared on Sean Hannity's show on Fox News, began, "But you know, Sean, I gave them a deadline of Friday at 8 a.m. to get us everything, and a source had told me where the documents were being kept, Southern District of New York." Shock. The newly revealed files are more extensive than in what was initially handed over, so we got them all. Hopefully all of them Friday at 8 a.m. Thousands of pages of documents, Bondi explained. I have FBI going through them, and FBI Director Kash Patel is also. Now that we have Kash here, it's a game changer, of course. Bondi then revealed the FBI Director Patel will provide a detailed report explaining why the FBI withheld all of those documents. Well, Sean Hannity, whoopee, acknowledged the frustration over the slow and incomplete release of the Epstein files. I want it to be clear because I think people got frustrated because they were expecting more, or you were expecting more, and you didn't find out less than 24 hours before the release. You got a whistleblower that confirmed that they were way more documents that they were supposed to turn over. Bondi described the moment the DOJ realized how much evidence was still missing. You're looking at these documents going, these aren't all the Epstein files. You know, there were flight logs, there were names and victims' names, and we're all going, where's the rest of the stuff? She said that was all the FBI had initially turned over until a source tipped them off. A source said, whoa, all the evidence is sitting in the Southern District of New York. And you know, we're going to go through it. We're going to go through it as fast as we can, but go through it very cautiously to protect the victims of Epstein because there are a lot of victims, she added. Hannity pressed Bondi on what information would ultimately be made public. Now, is that the only thing that would be redacted? Will everything else be made public that getting you possession? Bondi assured that the goal is full transparency. The FBI hasn't had, obviously, they haven't looked at the thousands of pages of documents that they've just received, but Kash has a team going through them, and it's always about protecting the victim. And you know what? We believe in transparency, and America has the right to know. She also pointed the finger at the Biden administration for failing to act. The Biden administration sat on these documents. No one did anything with them. Doesn't matter. You're in charge. You take care of it. Stop blaming other people, Pam. Sorry, that's just my opinion. Stop blaming the previous administration for the failures of all this crap. We know where they failed, and it's time to move on and just make it happen. And why were they sitting in the Southern District of New York? I want a full report on that. You know, sadly, these people don't believe in transparency, but I think more unfortunately, I think a lot of them don't believe in honesty. She made it clear that this era of secrecy is coming to an end. It's a new day, and why don't we just let her say it for herself?
We all did. And the FBI handed over a couple hundred pages of documents. But, you know, Sean, I gave them a deadline of Friday at 8 a.m. to get us everything. And a source had told me where the documents were being kept, Southern District of New York, shock. So we got them all by, hopefully all of them, Friday at 8 a.m., thousands of pages of documents. I have the FBI going through them, and Kash is also, now that we have Kash here, it's a game changer, of course, and Kash is going to, Director Patel is going to get us a detailed report as to why the FBI withheld all of those documents.
Okay, I want to be clear because I think people got frustrated because they were expecting more. You were expecting more, and you didn't find out less than 24 hours before the release. You got a whistleblower that confirmed that there were way more documents that they were supposed to turn over, and then you found out just before that.
Well, sure. And you're looking at these documents going, these aren't all the Epstein files. You know, there were flight logs, there were names and victims' names. And we're going, where's the rest of the stuff? And that's what.
I am just me. I'm a Republican. I'm big with animal rescue community. I deal with Democrats every day wanting me to take animals they found. I have 13 fosters. I say I'm full. Foster them yourself. Yeah, that is one of those things that you have to do. You have to know your limits. And I mean, then kudos to you. One of our friends is actually getting a well, I think it was last night. They went and were meeting with the foster that they're going to be getting. And it's unfortunate that the lady that I was talking to, she doesn't know anything about raising a pet. She's never had one all her life. Luckily, her husband, she claims, knows about animals, but that always does worry me whenever I hear those kinds of things come out of people's mouths of not knowing about pets and not doing enough research on, you know, keeping them safe, that kind of thing. Like I asked her, do you have a fenced in yard? And she was like, no. I was like, that can be very interesting. She goes, so, well, we have 2 acres. I said, yeah, but it only takes 30 seconds for the dog to run out the door and into the street. I've seen that kind of stuff happen, that people just don't know how to take care of animals. It's very sad. Very sad. So, yeah, but kudos to you for doing that. Rosilla's Realm. I am a third-party voter, but I elected the best conservative. The last 5 people the GOP threw under the bus during Trump's first run caused the switch. See, there you go. Today is National Pancake Day. Welcome, Natty Goat. Fence is a requirement. Yeah, fence should always be a requirement. And if you don't have a fence, at least some sort of dog run where you can put the pup in there. I mean, anything to keep your pet safe. And I understand if you live in an apartment or something like that, and you've got a dog that you want to get it exercised on a regular basis. You can take it down to your local park and let it run free and let it get those legs going. Yeah, it sounds like pass the buck situation. Well, and this does happen quite a bit with people that get pets. They don't know how to take care of them, and then those dogs find themselves in the pound or in back into the foster system because they don't understand that that's a responsibility. I mean, it's not just a short responsibility. It's a lifetime of that pet responsibility. They and a lot of people are short-sighted whenever it comes to that. So yeah, it is very important that we pay attention to those kinds of things.
What the FBI had turned over to us. And so a source said, whoa, all this evidence is sitting in the Southern District of New York.
Yeah.
So based on that, I gave them the deadline, Friday at 8, a truckload of evidence arrived. It's now in the possession of the FBI. Cash is going to get me and himself, really, a detailed report as to why all these documents and evidence had been withheld. And, we're going to go through it as fast as we can, but go through it very cautiously to protect all the victims of Epstein, because there are a lot of victims.
Well, you had identified in phase 1 over 254. Okay. Now, is that the only thing that would be redacted? Will everything else be made public that you get in your possession?
Yeah, the FBI hasn't had, obviously, they haven't looked at the thousands of pages of documents that they've just received Friday.
Yeah.
But Cash has a team going through them, and it's always about protecting the victim. But you know what? We believe in transparency, and America has the right to know. The Biden administration sat on these documents. No one did anything with them. And why were they sitting in the Southern District of New York? I want a full report on that. Sadly.
Well, because that's where he was originally having problems. He was having issues in the Southern District of New York. He also had problems in Florida, and one night it was Junior, Jessica Reloaded, and I. We started going through Ghislaine Maxwell's deposition. And it actually got to the point where we both decided it was a little too much. We just couldn't continue on with it. It was heart-wrenching. Those depositions, the horrible things that were happening to these young women was heartbreaking. And they're not young women anymore. They're a little bit older now. But imagine being a college student or a high school student working for Jeffrey Epstein and giving back massages. Yeah, your last 3 adoptions have been senior dogs. After about 2.5 years, 2 to 5 years, we lost every one of them. Their last few years were the best, I'd like to think. Oh, kudos, Helena. Kudos. Or they're willing to be potent working pet issues. Okay, we'll get back to that later.
These people don't believe in transparency, but I think more, unfortunately, I think a lot of them don't believe in honesty. And it's a new day, it's a new administration, and everything's going to come out to the public. The public has a right to know. Americans have.
Well, I agree. I mean, it should come out, every single bit of it, but also you want to protect the victims of these crimes.
Have a right to know.
And that goes the same with the JFK files,
JFK,
RFK files,
Martin
MLK.
Luther King. Yep, absolutely.
What are the things that, and maybe some people don't understand the need to redact. In the case of a victim, that should be pretty obvious to people. What are the other things that maybe you would have to redact?
Well,
National security?
now, of course, national security, some grand jury information, which is always going to be confidential, but we'll see. Let's look through them as fast as we can.
Yeah, see, that's where the kicker is, the grand jury information, which is going to be confidential. The things that were dug up about it is going to be, that can only be shown to a grand jury. That's going to be confidential. That sort of sucks.
And get it out to the American people, because the American people have a right to know, not only on that, but on Kennedy, on Martin Luther King, on all of these cases that the Biden administration has just sat on for all these years.
Well, and you have to admit, it wasn't just the Biden administration. It will, because Biden wasn't president at the time of the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. or JFK. So you have to understand that presidents have been sitting on this. Those administrations have been sitting on this all throughout that period of time. Amazing, isn't it?
So yeah, it's really, it's not sad. It's infuriating that these people thought that they could sit on this information, but they can't. It's a new day, and we believe in transparency, and it's going to come out. And when we redact things, Sean, what we're going to do is not just pull pages out like they used to do. If something's redacted, you will know the line, and you will know why it's redacted. Like a victim's name, identifying information of a victim. We all.
Okay. So that's where they stand on it. Are we going to see those at some point in time? There's no guarantees. There's no guarantees. I saw this earlier, and I don't know when this happened. I'm sure that somebody will be able to tell me. But this is right here is what happened in Serbia during a parliament meeting. People throwing smoke bombs in Parliament. Crazy, huh? Got people holding up these little smoke flares, and chaos is just erupting, and everybody's losing their ever-loving mind, and there you go. Activists at their finest. Activists at their finest. Crazy, huh? Crazy that people have to be such a pain in the butt. Yeah. Throwing smoke bombs at people, throwing things around, losing their ever-loving minds, getting this right here, not appropriate. It turns into a big giant game. Why are people so crazy? Why are people so crazy? Look. And it just makes me want to go. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting through air, gave through. If this happened in the United States, you realize how fast they would be calling that something. What do they call that? An insurrection or something like that? Isn't that what they call it? It's crazy. It's crazy. But you know what? It is that time that you got to play this last piece right here, just so people understand what the United States is all about.
Democracy is a form of government based upon the principle of majority rule, period. End of discussion. Now, that's not very complicated. Majority rule. It's easy to understand, easy to sell to the masses, and I might add, deadly. For example, what would you call a lynch mob? That's majority rule. There's only one dissenting vote, and he's at the end of the rope. Now, that's pure democracy in action. But wait a minute, you say. The majority should rule, yes, but not to the extent of destroying the rights of the minority. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are no longer describing a democracy. We are speaking of a republic. A republic is a limited democracy. It's a form of government based upon the principle of limited majority rule. Limited so that the minority, even a minority of one, can be protected against the whims and passions of the majority. And how do you protect the minority from the majority? You write down a set of rules on a piece of paper. You say, this we can do, that we cannot. At the top of the paper, you write the word Constitution. And then everyone agrees to follow the rules no matter what the temptation. And when you're finished, you've created a constitutional republic.
And one last thing is this right here for you. Oh, yeah.
You would like me to call you.
Serbia.
Okay. It is.
Bless your heart. I thought I was the only mentally challenged one here.
Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Early morning, rise and shine. Coffee's brewing, feeling fine. News is out and on the air. Shizzy Whiz nuts wild, but we don't care. Morning, Whiz and Coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy Whiz nuts, start the show. Let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Headlines spinning in the breeze. Stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java, wear a smile. Pants are off, but stay a while. Morning, Whiz and Coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy Whiz, let's start the show. Let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Headlines spinning in the breeze. Stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java, wear a smile. Pants are off, but stay a while. Morning, Whiz and Coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy Whiz, let's start the show. Let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Serious is overrated. Every day we're caffeinated. Talk the town, but in a jest. Morning Whiz is always best. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop.
Oh my god, Shizzy breaks Larry. Shizzy broke Larry.
Now go show